Hey guys, Dave here. I'm with my friend Marcus.
What it do?
We just ended up seeing the new 2016 Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably tell by our general expression that we're not the biggest fans of some of the things that happen in it. We'll get into that in a minute. But I think the biggest issue in general is that it didn't suck as bad as we hoped it would. But it wasn't as good as because there's always a part of you in the back of your head. If you're ever a fan of Ghostbusters, there's a part of you thinking, okay, please let this be good. It wasn't that movie, but it wasn't bad enough to be like, oh my god, did you see this movie? It is hilariously wrong. It's just you take out all the references to Ghostbusters, it's a mediocre comedy at best, and that's what bothered me about it. It could at least been a funny comedy. Even if it was a dumb Ghostbuster movie, if it was a funny-ass comedy, you could be like, okay, let's go watch this again when the DVD comes out. But you can't even say that. And that actually bothers me the most about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, as a Ghostbusters movie, it failed to even really be even close to as entertaining as either the first or the second. I know a lot of people weren't a big fan of the second one. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
It had points I really enjoyed. I could see why people didn't really like it that much, but this one, it was just, it felt like Ghostbusters by name only.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what killed me about it is it almost felt like the movie itself was admitting that it was Ghostbusters by name only.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of opportunities when they kept throwing things at you that was just basically trying to remind you, this is Ghostbusters, this is Ghostbusters. Hey, do you guys remember this scene from the original Ghostbusters? Hey, do you remember this actor from the original Ghostbusters? That was great, wasn't it? Right. Now watch this. And that's how it felt. It felt like there was just, why is the movie trying so hard to overcompensate? Are they trying that hard to appease their fans because they feel they're going to be alienated while watching the movie, even though that's exactly what happened? I'm just saying.
Yeah. It was like, the way I felt about it was like, the director was worried that people weren't going to remember that they were watching a Ghostbusters movie. So they were like, okay, well, we're going to throw this reference in real quick. But don't worry, it has nothing. This movie has no place in the original Ghostbusters world. The original Ghostbusters never existed. But remember this scene from the first movie? That was good, right? You guys remember that?
Because that's something. That was one of the things that we just kept talking about. I believe I made this reference when I first saw this movie. It wasn't so much that it felt like a whole bunch of shit being dumped on you. It was like somebody just flicking you in the balls constantly every time it happened. Still hurt like a motherfucker, but at the same time, it was a regular thing, so it's not like you had time for the pain to subside. It's like, God, my balls! What do I mean by that? Well, one of the things we noticed when we were watching is how many times that they were doing what essentially would be a shot for shot of what would have happened in Ghostbusters. Like, I remember there was a scene that was in the subway, or was it the train station, whatever it was. Yeah. And if you remember that part from Ghostbusters 2 where, like, you see Winston going down there and it's like, Winston, and then all of a sudden he sees something crazy going on, it's like a ghost train or whatever. Yeah. And what she saw was this guy who apparently was electrocuted at some point. It pretty much was reminding you of that scene. And for anybody who was hardcore about the first movie, the very opening part where they had the museum, just replace museum with library.
Yeah.
And it's shot for shot the same scene. And it blew my mind on how they were trying so hard to impress people with that. I'm like, I'm gonna get out of my face with that shit. That's not gonna work. You know?
Right.
And not that it was bad. It was a lot of the stuff they did was shot very well. It had good effects. It's just that you were just trying too hard to remind us this was Ghostbusters.
Right.
Just use whatever you have at your disposal to do that. Tell an original Ghostbusters story. Don't try so hard to remind us, hey, this is Ghostbusters.
Right. Even some of the ghosts I noticed were like, the effects were good, but the ghosts weren't really scary. Like in the first movie, like it always stuck out in my mind. The first time you see a ghost, whenever Peter, Ray, and Egon were in it was like a library or and there was that librarian ghost. And at first she just looked like a normal like woman ghost, and it was kind of creepy, but it still like had that background music. It was very atmospheric. She turns and then just goes full ghost on him, and like her face distorts, and it was actually like when you first see it, it was kind of shocking.
Right.
They do the same scene almost in the new one. And then it was just some ghost shows up and then just throws up. And it's like, that's how I feel about this movie right now. I just want to throw up now.
Best analogy ever. And I'll have to actually, in my opinion, some of the stuff they used was actually kind of scary in the instance that, okay, some of the effects works. Because the thing is, this wasn't one of those movies where it just had like a bunch of really shitty effects, like something from the Sci-Fi Channel or something where, at this point now, they're parodying themselves, let's face it. But that's a subject for another day. What I'm talking about here is that some of the effects actually were a little chilling. One of my favorite things that they did, and I remember this scene where they were at that concert, and they had that one statue was a mannequin. It was like following one of the Ghostbusters around. That freaked me the hell out. I was like, okay, if I saw something like that, you see this thing standing in a hallway, and then all of a sudden it starts coming at a full face at you.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with that today. I've got other stuff to do. So that was pretty creative. But that's the problem with this movie. Of all the good things that they did, they had a bunch of bad things that just kind of they just kind of weighed it down.
Yeah.
And there's so many things to touch on that, but we don't have that kind of time.
Unfortunately not. One of the big things, like a lot of people, if you even knew about this movie, pretty much the hype for it outweighed the movie itself, and a lot of the hype was just the negativity of the like I made a video about it just not too long ago about the sexism of that movie. And then when you see the movie, like, I don't know, maybe it's because of my already feeling about it, but like I felt like the movie was sexist towards itself most of the time. Because they have that stupid secretary, Kevin, who like they constantly like sexualize through the whole movie. Like they're like the one woman is like hitting on him the entire movie, like trying to get it. Like the only reason he's hired is because she thinks he's hot.
Yeah.
And then he's like showing pictures of himself with his shirt off, and like the whole movie is just about how he's hot. And that's it. That's his whole point in the movie. Pretty much is just, oh, he's a good-looking dude, and it's like, okay, the fans can't even be that sexist who are saying they don't want to see it because it has women in it. Now the movie is just sexualizing itself.
Yeah, I mean, you think about all those people who has ever given you flack for like wanting to watch this movie because you think it's going to suck, and then all the people are like, mostly the people who didn't want to see it, and their attitude is, we don't want to see it, so we automatically, if a guy says, oh, it's because you're sexist or whatever. Yeah. No, most of them are nostalgia horrors. Yeah. That's all that is. Yeah. And I admit, I'm a bit of a nostalgia whore myself. At the same time, I decided to give this movie a fresh glance. Mm-hmm. And truth be told, that's the best way you should look at any movie. If it's based on some other media, whether it be an older movie, a TV show, a video game, whatever, take into account if you've never heard of that medium, if you've never played that game, if you've never watched that movie, and how would the movie stack up? And that's what I did with Ghostbusters, which is why I thought to myself, even if this had nothing to do with Ghostbusters, it's just another mediocre comedy that we can shuffle with anything that's come out in the past 5 to 10 years.
Right.
And it's sad, too, because you think to yourself, okay, we've got Kristen Wiig in it, we've got Melissa McCarthy, bridesmaids, right? And it just doesn't come together.
No.
And it's just so sad.
Yeah.
And you want to know what also was sad? Other than the sexism that apparently didn't pan out.
Yeah.
The villain of the movie. Let's talk about this cat for a minute.
Forgettable.
Okay, I know y'all didn't like Ghostbusters 2. I know this.
Yeah.
Even though I actually liked it. Vigo the Carpathian I still took more seriously as a legit Ghostbuster villain than this weaselly little dork that they have in it. No offense to the dorks. I'm saying it like they're a species.
Don't worry about the dork species.
But what I'm saying is that you've got, him and you've got Vigo from the first movie, and you have these otherworldly spectral beings as the villain, who you think would be an ideal villain for you to fight. Now, the only problem that the second movie had with this character is basically repeating the formula. Mm-hmm. But in any movie, if you're going to have an antagonist, he's got to be an interesting antagonist that you got to get behind.
Right.
Because otherwise, you're not going to care if the heroes win or not. You just kind of want him to shut up. And that's what it was. You have this weird guy that says, oh, yes, I hope I take care of all of this. I want all of this suffer. And everyone just looks at him and he's just some weaselly guy. And even when he gets all the power that he's supposed to get, he's still not that intimidating.
No.
I'm like, this movie's bad guy? I mean, really?
Like, I don't even remember his name. Like
he's not memorable.
Yeah.
No one would care about this cat. I mean, seriously, try to do a review about him after watching the movie the next day. Try to remember. His name. I bet you can't because he's not important enough.
No, I know what he looks like, but that's it. I don't know what his name.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like if they had the original movie and Rick Moranis was the bad guy. Because that's kind of how he feels.
Yeah.
No offense to the actor that plays this guy, because he did the best he could with the material.
What he had.
But it's just one of those things that it's just add another notch to the belt on why this movie fails.
Yeah.
Bad guys not interesting. Some of the special effects weren't that good. And that's the big problem I have with this movie. I can't just outright trash it because everything that I'm going to say about it that would be bad would be more like nitpick.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
No, go ahead.
It was the movie. Like I can say, there were parts that were very interesting, very good.
Right.
Like the actresses, for the most part, were very good.
Right.
But just the movie as a whole was just plain, boring, straightforward, and it wasn't even that like as a comedy. Like I think I maybe laughed like twice in the whole movie. I was like, I'm just sitting here like this is not that funny. I laughed more watching the Blair Witch Project than this, and it's like, no, I can't.
That's saying something.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what I was saying before about it just being a mediocre comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I can't say it's entirely the fault of the actors because I hate it when people look at a movie and then they look at an actor and they blast an actor talking about this guy ruined the whole movie.
Right.
And I hate it when people do that when they don't take into account this actor didn't have that much to work with. When they talk about the Green Lantern movie and how Ryan Reynolds murdered that movie. Ryan Reynolds pretty much just played the same character. He pretty much was Van Wilder with superpowers. You can't tell me that if you look at the concept character for Hal Jordan, he's not the perfect actor to play that role, but he had only so much to work with the script. And that's what happened here.
Yeah.
These guys had a pretty decent script, but it was nothing that stood out. Nothing really laugh out loud funny, but the actors had good chemistry. Like the four actresses that they picked to be the Ghostbusters, if you ever had any doubt about them being good picks, watch the movie, and you'll see it actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah, the women were the best part of that movie.
They were the best part.
If this was just a comedy movie with them four in it, it would have been great. The fact that it had to live up to a Ghostbusters legacy was just no.
They kind of had the cards stacked against them from the start, so this movie would have had to have been phenomenal to rise above the hatred and the doubts that this movie started out with when they started showing the trailers with the really shitty animation.
Yeah.
But there was very little this could have done to be a success. But as far as I'm concerned, they did well with what they had. Right. It's just that it was pretty obvious what they could have avoided to make this movie. And this is one of the things that I remember you said a while back. If you're going to look at this movie and try to create it as a connection with the older films, then do that.
Yeah.
If you're going to be an original Ghostbuster story that has no connection with the old movies, then do that.
Yeah.
Don't try to do both.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of bothered me, how they were really just kind of layering on. It's like they were confused about what they wanted to do.
Right. And then they would just throw in the cameos, which blew my mind seeing. You see Bill Murray, and everybody knows Bill Murray with Ghostbusters.
Right.
Any other movie, any other movie with the main actor, when you see him in a movie based on it, you know who they're gonna play. He plays somebody who he isn't Peter Venkman at all.
No.
He's a guy who doesn't believe in ghosts, and then pretty much 5 seconds into seeing him in the movie, they just throw him out a window. And it's...
This made me think about something we were talking about. Okay, you know how the first two Ghostbusters, they had a rising antagonist, in there. I remember the one guy was, Peck, I think it was, the redhead guy.
Yep.
And then there was that one guy who was, I think was a lawyer or whatever in the second movie. Basically, Bill Murray plays that character in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, it's Bill Murray! But wait a minute. He's playing a character that has something against ghosts and people who actually catch it, which... It's a very awkward feeling, but then again, you try to train your brain to okay, fine, hear me out. How is this going to play?
Yeah.
And then when you watch it, not too long after he's introduced and he actually meets the Ghostbusters firsthand, the trap opens up, he gets blown out of a window, he's dead.
Yep.
He was only in the movie for 5 minutes and they kill him off. I'm not even saying it has anything to do with the fact that it's Bill Murray, mind you.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, let's look at the other ones. The other antagonists, they pretty much rolled their asses for the course of the movie. And that was part of the entertainment because they had these guys that you're such a dick. I want to see us succeed.
Yeah.
So you can fail.
Yeah.
But they didn't give Murray a chance to do that. They just threw his ass out the window. And I was like, what? How much did he get paid for that?
Probably more than we'll ever see in our lives.
That's going to be a running theme now because how are you going to have a theme that's pretty solid in the movie and then we're just going to Ghostbuster the hell out of it?
Yep.
And when we say that, we're talking about let's introduce a character that was a theme in one of the other movies, change it drastically, have whoever the new antagonist be something completely different or new protagonist or whatever, and then once that character's introduced, he cannot believe in whatever it is, and then throw him out a window.
I want to see that in much bigger movies.
Me too!
Jaws 7. There might actually be a Jaws 7. I haven't paid attention to it enough, but if there isn't...
What was it? Jaws 7, it doesn't even have a shark in it.
It's not a shark, it's like a big tuna.
Yeah,
and then you see the shark.
Yeah, and the shark is like interacting with everybody, talking about, well, I don't believe in tuna being that big. I've been in the water for years. I have never seen a tuna that size. You're full of crap. And then all of a sudden, they throw him out a window. For no reason. Doesn't have to survive.
Nope, it dies on impact. Straight through the window. And automatically is dead.
It's like in Tremors. You remember the last scene in Tremors that they came out, come out of the wall, and then it just splat. It's like a big pool of ketchup and mustard. And because that's what should happen to Jaws. Oh, I'm going on tangent here. Hang on. But seriously, and that's the biggest problem. It's not that it completely sucks.
Right.
Please don't go into this thinking, okay, this movie completely sucks. There's going to be a lot of material to work on. Anybody who has to review a movie like this is going to be kind of disappointed.
Yeah. It's one of those movies, I think a few years from now, no one's going to remember it. No. People today still have like conventions around the original Ghostbusters.
This is true.
Never for this new one. You will never. You may see maybe it's coming Halloween. You might see some people dressed up.
We wanted to get jumpsuits for this review, but it just didn't happen. But I would love to have one just to have it and have my name on it and everything. So I'm going to work towards that goal. And I don't care what movie it's going to be reviewing. It could be like the Bridges in Madison County, and then I'll be wearing my Ghostbusters gear. Talking about let's bust some ghosts. We talk about Brad Pitt. I can't even bust ghosts.
In the Bridges of Madison County, we're going to bust ghosts.
Exactly.
I want to see that movie. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is a thing. Now this has to be a thing.
Perfect. If you got to ever have Lincoln fight vampires, you can do this.
Have Bridges of Madison County with ghosts.
Busted ghosts. We'll get Brad Pitt so he can come back and everything. It'll be beautiful.
Right. And then throw him out a window.
I don't know. The thing is, I think the idea of whenever you talk about anything, it's always touch on what's good about it, what's bad about it.
Right.
And in my opinion, when you do a lot of soul searching, I say you have to do a little bit of soul searching for this, because if a movie is bad, it's bad.
Right.
You can't acknowledge what's good about it. But the big problem in this case is, despite the good things that were in it, and they were really good, some of it, it's not enough to carry the whole film. You have to sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, drudging through shit, just to find the things about it that you like. And then, if you're really hardcore about it, like if you're one of those people that was like, I came here solely because I love the original Ghostbusters film, you're going to be insulted a little bit because the trailers, they did one thing. And trailers are good with this now, because I know Suicide Squad, they've been through a few damn trailers.
Yeah.
They will show you one thing. And then when you watch it, it's like, this is not quite what I was expecting. They leave scenes out. Right. They portray a different image. In this case, what they did, they were all like, this movie is definitely for the people who watch the old movies. Because remember the stuff that happened back in the day or whatever? Consider this as a continuation of that. And then when you watch the movie, you realize, okay, these events never really happened. This feels more like a remake. This feels more like a reboot rather than a sequel. Right. And not that that's entirely a bad thing. I just kind of wish the advertisement was more consistent.
Yeah.
And whenever you see something like happen, that's your first sign. Something's wrong.
Right.
And I admit, I watched that movie, I was like, oh, wow. This is not what I thought was going to happen. Why is Bill Murray in it? Why did I see Sigourney Weaver in it?
Yeah.
Why am I seeing all these people who I beloved in the original movie and this has nothing to do with them?
All right. Annie Potts playing Janine as if she took a different career path.
Exactly. It's just Janine, except working at a hotel or
Yeah.
a convention center, I think it was.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
no.
I just was a little annoyed because the only thing that was good about it that I got to see Annie Potts on the big screen because I haven't seen her since Lifetime.
Yeah.
Because that's all she's doing now. And it's sad 'cause I love Annie
She's
Potts.
good. She's really good.
But then again, one of the things that they did right is their professions actually make more sense.
Right.
Yes, you have to put your fanboy aside for it and look how they progress with the show and in the movies and everything. And you've got these characters that have professions that make more sense. Here, we're paranormal investigators. That's two of us. And then you've got their Egon-like character, who's that lady from Saturday Night Live, who was hilarious.
She was really good.
She was like a nuclear physicist or something like that.
Something like that.
And I said, wow, that would make sense for them to build all the crazy stuff they had to build.
Yeah.
And you've got their version of Winston, and I've seen her. By the way, she's hilarious.
Yeah, she was.
She actually made more sense because they just threw poor Winston in the first movie. They just
Yeah.
threw him into shit,
It's like,
and
hey.
they said, "Here, we expect you to react to these situations." But here it was like, "Hey, I know the city. She
Yeah,
had
she had a
tidbits
point.
of info on what's going on. She was useful."
Yeah. And then guess who her uncle is, or it was her uncle or grandfather, I think.
It was an
Her
uncle.
uncle. And it's another cameo by.
Yeah, I mean, Ernie Hudson, he was there to collect the
Hello.
paycheck. And
Yep.
I'm like, okay, it's Ernie Hudson. But I hated the fact that at first I felt that actress was only hired to fill the black person quota. That personally annoyed me. But after seeing her in action, they actually gave her more stuff to do.
She gave her purpose.
She
That
gave
was
her
good.
purpose.
And
She was funny, too.
Yeah, she was the few times I laughed was because of her.
Yeah.
She had the best lines. She reacted pretty accurate to what I feel like a normal person would act like in those situations.
Yeah. And
Like, yeah. She was the best part of the movie for me.
she was great. And I mean, but like I said, she actually served a purpose. All four of the characters felt like, it didn't feel like they just jumped into it and they were just professionals. They had to kind of work towards that. Like, here, we'll build these proton accelerators and we'll see how it works. They had to wheel the whole thing in there. I was like, wow, this actually kind of makes more sense the way they progress with this. I admit, that explains one of the things that I kind of didn't like, but it kind of made sense for the way they did the story. The whole movie, they caught one ghost. How y'all gonna be called Ghostbusters
And catch one.
and you caught one ghost?
Yeah. And don't give me that crap at the end of like, oh, well, we opened up the portal and sucked all the other ghosts in. No, that wasn't them catching the ghosts.
Right.
That was them reversing what was done in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
No, they full-on busted a ghost and put it in a trap one time. The whole
Just
movie.
one.
Just once.
And the thing is, that was actually one of the things that, in my opinion, made more sense the way they did it. Because in the older movies, it's like, these guys already have the equipment. They've already come up with a way to contain all the ghosts. They had everything from the jump. And it's like, wow, you guys moved pretty fast. I feel like we missed some time here.
Right.
But then in this movie, it makes more sense the way they did it because it's like, we're still testing the technology. We don't even really have a way to contain the ghost yet. In fact, they didn't even come up with that until towards the end of the movie because I think what they were trying to do was, let's set this up for an obvious sequel, which at this rate will probably happen.
Yeah.
And we don't ever have to worry about how they got to this point. We already did the origin story. Now we can have them have their traps, have their containment unit, and make it make sense.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of weird, but at the same time, I kind of dug that on how their materials seem a little bit more, primitive compared to what the Ghostbusters had in the movie, because they're still polishing their technology. The technology was good, but it was also bad. Let me talk about what I hated about it. You saw this in the trailer too. Don't act like you didn't. Where you saw them have what essentially were ghost-busting gauntlets and ghost-busting handguns and a ghost-busting grenade. What?
It's Ghostbusters Call of Duty now.
I don't understand what the hell was going on there. And
yeah, like it wasn't like their proton packs were good enough. They just all of a sudden were like, we're bored. Here's some handguns. Fly. Why? They still had the proton packs on their back the entire time. They look handguns. Why?
And this actually brings me to one of the scenes that both of us had a problem with when we watched it, because there's this part where this is essentially what would be considered the showdown scene.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to go through maybe a horde of baddies to get to the final boss and then take care of business or whatever it is you're doing there. And they're sitting up there like going and getting into this all-out brawl with ghosts. And I'm like, that was a face problem. And I'm like, my lord, I know they did not just do this.
Fist fighting ghosts with the gauntlets.
They're fist fighting ghosts, throwing grenades at them. And I'm like...
And stabbing things with a penknife.
Yeah, I was... You managed to put in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but then he was just this anticlimactic balloon.
Yeah, I was excited to see him, and then it was like, oh, he's a balloon. And he died by a penknife.
And on top of that, why balloons? Why are there balloons in the first place? I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand that some of these ghosts are supposed to be possessing some objects, and sometimes that really works. Mm-hmm. Like the scene at the theater. Or the concert where they possessed that mannequin, and that was freaky as shit. That was cool. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
But, like we said earlier, every one idea they had that worked, they had about 5 ideas that didn't work. So this was one of them. We just kind of issued. And again, this is more like nitpicking. You may watch the movie, and you may look at the balloons and say, okay, that wasn't really that bad of an idea. I don't know why these guys didn't like it. Hell, you may get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
We just weren't a fan of it because it was playing towards your nostalgia. It was tricking you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and you're like, holy shit, he was in the first movie. And then, pop, gone.
It was
no more.
Yeah, that's exactly my feeling on the whole movie. It's like, yay, pop, screw you.
Oh, my ego is officially as deflated as these balloons.
Now,
my nerd has not been satisfied.
Well, I can say, like, I think you weren't really too big of a fan of it, but I did like, I liked the ending, actually having to fight like the ghost that you see in the logo.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool idea. I turned to my wife and I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to get that as an action figure or a statue or something because it looked kind of cool.
It was nice how it kind of looked textured.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool. Like, you've never seen them fight the logo before.
No. I mean, who would have even thought of that?
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, to me, that felt like one of those things that, again, was kind of playing on my nostalgia a little bit.
Yeah.
It says, hey, not only did the Ghostbusters have this really cool logo that is memorable and used in just about every media ever known to man, but now we're going to make it a villain and have you fight it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Okay.
I guess I didn't agree with that, but at the same time, I can see how people could like that sort of thing because it wasn't entirely tasteless. He went around smashing buildings.
Yeah.
He pretty much was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters 1. He was the Statue of Liberty from Ghostbusters 2. He's the same entity in concept. But I guess my biggest problem with it is I just felt it was a little cheap. The effects weren't cheap.
They were good.
I just felt the concept of it was cheap. Like, are you serious? The fucking logo?
Like, should have been like a new ghost that they just came up with.
Right.
Even though they obviously weren't good at creating ghosts in the first place.
And not to say that it wasn't doing entirely badly. It wasn't entirely bad. It wasn't entirely tasteless. It wasn't, to me, as tasteless as them throwing in Ray. I won't even say Ray. Dan Aykroyd. Yeah. He was a cabbie talking about, I'm afraid no ghosts. And he just drives away. What was the point of that?
Yeah. I think my brain was shutting off at that point because it took me a minute to realize it was him. As soon as he said, I'm not afraid no ghosts, then I realized it was him. But I was staring at the screen like, oh, who's this cabbie? I'm like, oh. I think I was just so sick of seeing cameos, I didn't want to see him again.
Yeah.
I was like, please, no, not Dan Aykroyd, don't do it. You and Harold Ramis were at the first one, please don't do it. Don't, you were better than this. No, you're not.
And just about everybody, with the exception of Rick Moranis' ass, and you know why he's not in movies no more.
I could do.
It's like everybody, even Harold Ramis, technically, because there was that scene in the beginning of the movie where they show, if you look in the background, you see a bust of Harold Ramis and says, oh, I see what you've been through. And then you realize they're just going to keep doing that throughout the whole film, even towards the end. Mm-hmm. And can I bring this up? Because I brought this up to you before, and I was like, what? Because she basically was making this comment. She was basically talking to, I cannot remember, I think it's something McKenna, like Kayla McKenna or something like that. She's hilarious on Saturday Night Live if you've ever watched her. Personally, I like it when she does Justin Bieber. It's funny. But she's talking to that character, and it's just like, well, this is my mentor. And it's Sigourney Weaver from the original Ghostbusters movie. And she makes this comment about a safety light that's on the containment unit that they're working on. And she's like, says, yeah, safety lights are for dudes. Now, that may not mean a lot in context, but think about it. Whenever you make a sexist comment, it's supposed to make sense, okay? Like, for instance, it's like pink, for a good example. I mean, I know there's some guys who are still like that. I'm still like that. I'm not going to be rocking pink because I'm like, pink is for girls. That's a girly color. It's a girly-ass color. That's a color that's usually associated with women. Even when children are born, it's like pink or blue. Pink for girls, blue for boys. I guess I'm old school like that. So you won't catch me rocking pink. Not here, not ever. You see me on the street, my ass ain't gonna be rocking pink. But that's one that makes sense, am I right?
Right.
So when you say safety lights are for dudes, what? Because men are more cautious about nuclear safety? I don't understand why that's a thing.
No.
I mean, doesn't that come off as kind of a reverse insult? Like an insult backfire, you know what I mean? It's like you're trying to say that women are more reckless, we care less about safety lights. Here, let me just throw in this sexist comment that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Did someone write that and think, perfect?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great line. That's a great line. Keep it. Oh, that's going in the trailer.
And you never see it in the trailer.
Thank God.
Not even in the international ones, because of course they'd be like, it's something blue, I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. Because you know they would say it too.
Ghostbusters, sexist, and hateful towards French people.
Okay, I mean, some of the stuff was delightful, I won't lie. But sometimes it's delightful the way that it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever watched anything like Birdemic, the effects are delightful. They please me intensely to see these people walking around with coat hangers trying to swat these birds. That's delightful as all get out. If you've never seen the Birdemic, either watch the movie or watch someone review it. Yeah. Because that shit's priceless, son. But
it is great.
But here, this is like delightful in that way it shouldn't be delightful. That's something you talk about at work. It's like, dude, you remember that? What the hell were they thinking?
Yeah.
If there were more moments like that, this would be a much more lively review.
Yeah. Yeah.